People who met their partners after 30. How did it happen? Do you wish you had met earlier? Sent her a message on OkCupid, but then she set her account to inactive without seeing my message. 2 years later, she reactivated her account, looked at her old messages, saw mine at the top of the queue, and the rest is history. Met 8 years ago, had an old car meet in Nevada, spent a little time together, a bunch of the older ladies shoving us together whenever they could. Hence, I avoided him the rest of the trip. He lived in Texas. I lived in California. A year later, he called to ask me a question, and 3 hours later, we got off the phone. Same thing the next day. Same thing the next day. I invited him to come out and visit because we were having an event at my house. To my utter shock, he came. About a year and a half later, we were married 5 days before my 40th birthday. Years I wished I met him sooner, sometimes.But in hindsight, the timing was perfect and meant to be, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Match.com. I was 30, she was 28. We are now married and just had our first kid, legit hours ago. Just scrolling through Reddit while the nurses do their thing, and years I wish we met so much earlier. Not to sound cheesy, but she's my everything. Can I tell the story about how my dad and stepmom met instead? This was back in the early 90s. Proud car chase by about a year, I think. I was waiting tables at a steak joint and was living at home with my dad after college. My parents had been divorced for a couple of years and my dad was seeing a lady. Then my sisters and I had it. I'm sure she was fine, but she was lame. She wore housecoats at 50. Anyway, one night I was waiting on a table of about 6 ladies that were out celebrating something special. I had been joking with them throughout the evening, and near the end of the meal I asked if I could get anyone anything else. One lady said, "Do you have any tall, dark, handsome men stashed away back there?" I tell her no. "Sorry, we sold those with the prime rib." Ha! She follows up with, "Any short, fat, balding one?" I'm not particular. Not sure why I did it. But I answered no. "But you could go out with my dad." Before they left, she legit wrote her name and number down on a deposit slip, and I passed it along to my dad. He asked her out for ice cream, saying something about how you can tell a lot about a person based on their ice cream choices. Dad, they were married 20 years before he died of cancer. We met through Craigslist. I was lonely looking for someone to see movies with. She was looking for more. But after a few weeks of chatting, we met up, and on the sparks and chemistry. Our first date lasted 9 hours long. Here we are, still madly in love 11 years later, and 2 kids, 4 states, 4 apartments, 2 houses, and our 10-year anniversary in September. The second question first. No, we wouldn't have liked each other. When we were younger, we met at 33/34. She lived above a friend in the same apartment complex I lived in. I moved in with a friend, asked this girl out, and she turned me down. About a month later, she went to an Aziz Ansari show. He convinced her to give him her phone, and he promptly read her Facebook messages out loud. He asked the audience if she gave me a chance. They all booed her. And then she asked me out a couple days later. Aziz Ansari guilted her into going out with me. Both of us were married 10 to 15 years previous. It honestly took the growth of our previous relationships to be able to have the meaningful relationship that we have now. Funny how your life being in shambles turns into the best thing you ever could have imagined, and having a partner that is your true partner. Met at work. He was an acquaintance for years prior, but the time wasn't right then. I'd say it worked the way it was supposed to for us. I was single and sad after being cheated on by my then partner, so one of my friends suggested I try out Tinder as a distraction. I'd always thought Tinder was just hookups and kind of cringy. He was the second date I went on. Best guy I've ever met. Met through Bumble. I was close to giving up on finding anyone, who would love me. I am pretty sure he was made for me. I always wish we had met earlier, though given how long it takes him to do anything, it's not really a surprise it took this long. We are expecting our first child in August.